Welcome again to another installment of The Basics. And on this show, I'm taking you back to the Star Trek customizable card game once again because I want to talk to you about doorways. Now, ever since the doorway card made its debut in the first expansion for the card game, which was Alternate Universe, it changed the way we play the game. And in subsequent expansions and standalone sets that came out, new doorways came out that did more things. So I'm going to show you a handful of the doorway cards that came out over a span of several sets and explain to you what they do and why you need them in your deck. Doorway cards are an integral part of the game, and you need at least a few different types in your deck depending on if you're playing house rules or tournament rules, but they are good to have and they do many different things. So when the Alternate Universe expansion came out, you had these two doorways right off the bat. You had the Alternate Universe door, which means any card that had that icon, which was the Alternate Universe icon, came into play. You could either play it on the table or you could do it during the seed phase. The Davidian door was the second of two doorways to come out in that expansion, and yes, it does allow you to play alternate universe cards, but it has to be a card from the future. It can't just be any alternate universe icon cards. And there were several cards that were from the future timeline in that set, and subsequent sets that have come out, obviously, that were very important to gameplay. And you wanted to have this card in your deck, actually a few of them, providing you had a lot of alternate universe type cards or future cards that you wanted to bring out. As I mentioned in the Side Decks episode, the Q Continuum expansion gave us these two, which was Q Flash and Q's Tent, which focused primarily on the side deck, bringing it out, nullifying it, or allowing it to play cards from it. One of the big doorways that came out, and the Deep Space Nine standalone / expansion had a lot of doorways, but the most important one was the Bajoran wormhole. Now, you needed two of these to play. You can't just play one by itself. And what this does is, this links the Alpha Quadrant to the Gamma Quadrant, just like in the TV series. So you can now move into the Gamma Quadrant and undertake missions and deal with anything that's on that side of the wormhole. Also, because you had later sets with the Jem'Hadar and Gamma Quadrant affiliations, it would help you because you could build a Gamma Quadrant deck, play this, and start marauding in the Alpha Quadrant. So you'd be doing the reverse of what your opponent would be doing, depending on his type of deck. The Ready Room door was extremely important. This came out in First Contact and allowed matching captains or commanders to be with their ships. They could be downloaded immediately and everything that goes with it. You can also download other cards like Yellow Alert, Lower Decks, Senior Staff Meeting, or anything so marked, which is a very helpful doorway, especially if your deck relied on Captain's Log. You could bring this out instantly and upgrade your ships. Some of the other DS9 doorways would also be Airlock, so it plays on a ship or an outpost, and if you have computer skill and either treachery or greed, you can target opposing personnel. Target is tossed out the airlock, so they're dead. And it also nullifies Rogue Borg, which sucks, but Secret Compartment, I was never really big on this doorway. So it either allows you to capture a personnel present, or you can download up to 2 equipment cards and leave them there. I've never used this. I have a couple of them. I don't use them in decks because I do not rely heavily on equipment in my decks. I'll get into that on a future episode. Space-Time Portal, I've already been over that with you in a previous episode. That's pretty much like the Alternate Universe door, only a little enhanced. Launch Portal deals with engaging shuttle operations or secondary craft that gets them out faster, out and about, and out of your hair. If you're like me and you have a Borg deck, the Transwarp Network Gateway is massive, because that means I can go anywhere on the space line, but either in the past or the future, and avoid all those dilemmas that are placed under it. Now, it can be nullified, but if you have enough of them in a Borg deck, you can get around that. And one of my favorite doorways, the space door. The space door is now open. reducing outpost shields by 8, and it's cumulative. You may either overhaul one of your empty ships here, so you can return the ship to your hand, nullify a static warp bubble, handy, or download another space dock or a universal ship that is compatible with said outpost. What you do after that is you flip the card over, because it's a double-sided card. Notice that door is now closed, and that ends that turn for now. Very useful card to have in your deck. Now obviously you're not going to have every type of doorway in your deck, and there's a few more that I'm not bringing out just because there's so many doorways and the other ones aren't as good. Depending on the type of deck you're building, and I've said this in previous episodes, that'll determine what doorways you put in your deck. Now, if you're going to play with side decks, you'd either use your Q-Flash or Q's tent, no problem. There's also the Battle Bridge door, which I showed you last time, if you're doing side decks. And if you're doing a combination Alpha Quadrant, Gamma Quadrant deck, that's where you'd use the Bajoran Wormhole. But all the other ones, you have to be careful how you use them. Your alternate universe and your space-time portal doorway are going to be your top doorways. Aside from that, you got to figure it out. That's what deck construction is all about. But you got to have doorways in there. Have a great day, everybody.